right. So again, welcome back. We are doing British in India now. Obviously, a lot of the European countries, especially the powerful ones, did their fair share of imperialization and going around doing their thing. But the British, not to be outdone, they were probably the most successful across the world. They had a lot of stakes in a lot of places. That's why we talk about the sun never setting on the British Empire. It basically stems from that idea that they had places around the world. The sun was up somewhere. The British Empire had a sunny day somewhere. So let's talk about from the beginnings. Well, they decided to take an economic interest, and let's go back. Economics being, uh, think of it as money, think of it as land, think of it as the um, ability for. Sec, think of it as the idea that like basically how you're going to get how's your economy going to run? How's your jobs going to happen? How's your cash flow going to go through this situation? Are people making money? Are businesses being profitable? So they think of it that way. So how their country did, like Britain, the island, like that little spit of land, just north of France, like they took an interest early on in India. Um, and again, we've talked about empires, like that was a long time ago, real long time ago, y'all. When we did that, but this is important to know is that the Mughal Empire, which was a successful empire, real successful, started to sputter, started to come down, right? It started to collapse. And when you have this entire place that's been controlled by one, and if that starts to come down, you have what we call a power vacuum, and which means like there's nothing there. So who's gonna rise up and fill that void, right? And the British happen to be there. Specifically the East India Train Company, right? Have y'all ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean? Not the first one, but I believe it's the second one. And the East India Train Company is like trying to do their thing, trying to control stuff because they have like money and stuff. Well, that's a real thing. That's a real thing that happened. It was a private company that basically got a lot of the blessings of being like the one. So like what I mean by that is like they got blessings from the crown, right? The king slash queen, depending on the time. Uh, to basically do what they need to do to make money, and they had a lot of power economically, politically, socially. They had a lot of power. And one of the reasons they see it as their most important colony is because of the amount of wealth that they can extract from there. There's a lot of people there, so there's a lot of labor that they can exploit. There's spices at this point in time are filthy expensive to buy. Like you need to spice stuff up. You need to spice up your life. You still need to spice up your life, right? Have any of y'all ever just had a plain grilled chicken with nothing on it, not even salt, no pepper, nada, no butter, nothing? It's so plain. It's so boring, right? It's banal. It's like, ugh, don't put that over here. I don't want that. No, so like when you put some spice on them, put some a little bit of cumin on there, mm, especially sprinkle that salt. Give me that chicken any day of the week with a little bit of seasoning. So delicious. Well, today that doesn't change back then, right? You want spice, but those spices are expensive, and India is a great place to get them. Okay, so that's one of the big reasons. And they monopolize trade. So think of the game Monopoly. How do you win Monopoly? Well, you win Monopoly by collecting all the pieces, right? So like having Boardwalk, having I don't know any of the other ones. Uh, I I only know the Disney version of them because I have that. Uh, I know Disney and me. But you win Monopoly by getting every single piece, right? Having them all. You monopolize, you dominate. So they had a monopoly on trade here. Okay. So they could decide what prices to charge and what prices to pay. Beneficial to have a monopoly. Doesn't mean that everyone else is getting the best deal. Doesn't mean other people aren't losing, but you are definitely winning. Okay. So the East India Trading Company, so officials were basically rulers. And oh, did I miss something? I might have missed something. I'll finish this and I'll talk a little bit less. But you're basically a ruler. You have all the money, you have all the power. You're not right underneath the nose of the crown, right? You're not in London where the queen's like, "What the hell are you doing over there?" Like you're so far away that you're like, "Yeah, let me just send you some money or something. Like, let me do my thing." And they were okay with it because they were bringing vast quantities of wealth back to the empire. And they're like, "That's dope. I love money. I love being able to throw it around, get my new carriage, upgrade my horse, maybe get two of them, right? Like we maybe get a Ferrari now, but not then. Dude. They gotta get that lacquered new, not chariot. I just said it. Carriage, yeah, lacquered new carriage, right? Yeah. So they were like rulers, right? Um, they had their own personal army, and they could sign treaties whenever and however they felt like it. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they were royal without being royal. Like Lord would have been singing about these people long ago if she was back then in the day, but she wasn't. She sings about royals now. But let's go back a little bit. I don't think I put it in here. I did not. But let's stop on this side. But basically, the reason why they saw it is because there's so like I already talked about. There's 300 million people at this point. So there's 330 million people in America right now, right today. 300 years ago, there was 300 million people in India. So India's been big. It's always been big. It's been ridiculous. Okay? It's ridiculous how many people be living in India and China. It's crazy. Okay. So there's that. There's so many raw materials. It's a big country. It's a big country with conducive weather to a lot of things. A lot really conducive weather, and as you can tell, it's basically a big old peninsula out there. So there's easy access to the ocean, right? It's a good place. It's a good place to set up. It's a good place to do what you got to do. Okay. And obviously they had a good railroad network, but like British add to that. They really do. They really do what they got to do. Okay. So, as a whole, they really expand all over. So let's take a look at this map. We're talking about. So let's take a look at here. So you can see we're going to talk about the revolt, but so in about 52 years, so they go from the dark green to basically all of it. For real though, like we talk about almost all of India very quickly being under British control, and it has a lot to do with. I know that I've belabored the point. I know I've talked about it all the time, but it has a lot to do with your tech, right? Industrial revolution plays a role in it. I mean, I know that this is happening a little bit after and a little bit before, but like when you have all that technology, when you have all those advantages, it just they compound each other, right? So it would be like oh okay, be like basketball, right? So you have the draft, but the first pick goes to the team that just won, right? So it'd be like that. So, but it's not like what we're talking about here. It'd be like the first five picks go to the team that just won, and then the team that lost, being like India, they have to go sign some free agent from like I don't know Sweden or something, or so it's like it would be very tough. Like you're already behind the eight ball like three times over, and then you get another like bad hand. It's like getting a two and a seven in poker. Like it's like the worst hand you can get. Okay, so they collected huge amounts of wealth. Well, of course you do. There's a very few people in control of a lot of land, a lot of resources, and a lot of wealth. Like, of course they're gonna start collecting it. Like they're Pokemoning, but instead of Pokemon, they got money and wealth, right? They be doing what they got to do to continue to assert dominance. Local merchants had to trade only with rich. Again, if you have to trade with one person, you do not control price. You do not have that supply demand curve. You do not have that in your favor. You are told what price that you can sell it for. If you don't sell it, you don't sell. Like if you don't sell it to the British, you can't sell it at all. So you have to sell it to the British for what they want, and you're going to get the price that they give you. Okay, it'd be like if like you go and you can only buy Coke. That's it. That's the only thing you can buy. If you don't buy Coke, you can't buy any drink at all. So Coke is gonna just sell their thing for $10 a 12 ounce because they can. You have to buy it from them, right? The thing is, we don't have that. You can buy Pepsi, you can buy uh, Arizona iced tea, you can buy any of that stuff, right? But if you are forced to buy one thing, you're either gonna buy it or you're not. Like you can either sell it or you don't. You don't have an option to sell to a third party. A third party being like first party being British, second party being India. Like there's no third party that Indians can be like, well, screw you, British. We're gonna go sell over here. They don't have that. Okay, and that's where like your market, if you have a free market, and you don't have like entities like this trying to take over, that's where it's like beneficial because you find the market that you want to sell to get the best deal that's beneficial to everyone. But here they don't have that. Okay, so local weavers went out of business as Britain forced India to buy textiles from England. Yo, okay, so then we're talking about the textile industry and they're being able to like weave more stuff. Well, local weavers are trying to sell their goods and Britain's saying you can't buy it. You have to buy it from us. You have to buy it from Britain. You have to buy British made goods because that's who we are. We need that money. Our textiles back home, like they need to sell them. Well, that's negative, right? This is just a one small example of what happened to lots of different people. Okay. So I mean, mm, oh goodness. Sorry. I'm trying to make sure I follow along. Um, Before we get into this, British did allow Indians to serve in their army, but they were treated as second class citizens. A lot of it very similar to how Black Americans and Native Americans were in the army prior to like the 60s, 70s, right? Not treated very well. Um, Looked over, obviously, regardless of how skilled and talented and qualified they were. And this is the British side of this. They did this for a few reasons to keep power away from people that were qualified, as well as to keep them under their nose, so to speak, right? Keep them in sight, but not in power. Okay, so hope you understand. So interventions in India. Obviously, Britain needs to bring their tech there. One of the things that you'll notice is a lot of these places, and as awful as imperialism has been to certain different peoples and whatnot, one of the benefits of imperialism is you catch up real quick in terms of technology and stuff like that. Because you really think the British are going to be posting up in India with none of their amenities that they grew up with in good old London? You really think that they're going to be tripping and not sipping on some tea with a little bit of milk? Obviously, you add the tea to the milk. Don't add the milk to the tea. The tea goes into the milk. Come on, y'all. We are not savages. That's how you got to do it. But anyway, like you really think they're going to be doing that? No, no, no. They're going to be bringing some of their stuff so they can have a nice life. Well, as a result of that, everyone happens to get it, right? That technology comes through. They build railways all throughout India. You think if you have ever visited India, there's railways everywhere in India. If you've been to India, I haven't. So like this is a lot of going on, like what I've read and what I've watched in documentaries and whatnot. So like if you have been to India and you can be like, you true, there's railroads all over the place there. Please like send me an email and be like, Mr. Hicks, you're right. If I'm wrong, you don't need to send me an email and tell me I'm wrong. I just pretend I'm right. But anyway, they established as courts and civil services, right? So like your civil services being like today we have like garbage collecting and we have park services and whatnot. Like so they established that. So those are like so far those are great additions. And then obviously factories, schools, universities. Nothing helps an economy and a people quite like education. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a teacher and I'm doing all the educating. I'm blessing your minds with bits of knowledge from my mind. But no, but for real though, like you help someone understand how to do things, it's gonna be better, right? You can feed them, like you can give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. But you teach that man how to fish, and so long as those fish be biting, you feed him for a lifetime. Same thing with education. I can give you the answer, you'll have it for one day. If I teach you how to find that answer, if I teach you how to critically think, if I teach you how to compare and contrast, if I teach you all those stuff, y'all, you'll be good. You, you'll be way smarter than I am in no time at all. Okay, so I hope there's my little plug for education. All right, here we go. Um, obviously, um, obviously, there's an impact of colonization. There's obviously an impact of colonization. So I mean, the British had power. I mean, if you're British, if you're from like Portsmouth, if you're from Newcastle, uh, possibly if you're from Southampton, you're probably like, this is not a con. This is a W. This is a win. But for the most part, it's having the British have power in India is definitely a con, especially to Indians, since that's where they live. That's what they should have, right? So that's a con. And obviously they are, and not to like we don't want to be hating too much on the British, but like one of the things, like of course they're going to restrict industries in which they're in competition with. They need to succeed, and how they're going to succeed is restricting competition. If no one's competing against you, if I go out and play a soccer match against no one, I'm of course gonna win. If I lose, then man, I mean, I ain't gonna lose if I'm playing. That would be embarrassing. I would have to be like Burnley or some ridiculous club like that. But I ain't Burnley. Go Swansea City. It's the best club in the world. Um, anyway, famines happen. Famines happen because no one can work. No one can make money. No one has the ability to do that stuff. So famines are impacting, and there's 300 million people. There's a lot of people that can die from famines. Um, the destruction of culture, well, of course, if you have someone that comes in and tries to take over and that has a different religion, has a different language, has a different literally whatever you want to say to that, if they're different, there's of course going to be some destruction of culture because not only is that not being like continued to be propagated, but another thing that happens is one of the best ways to restrict mutinies, to restrict negative reactions, is to get rid of the culture. Get rid of it. People start to become like your culture, and then they don't want to revolt because they see themselves as you. Obviously, another con is they be crazy like racist because they're not the same race or culture or ethnicity or any of that stuff, and they view the British. If you're British, you're ahead of Indians. Like that's just it. So that's obviously a con. Well, they have a big old railroad now, big old railroad that going all over the place. Putting goods all the way to Bombay, Delhi to Bombay. I don't know. Like I'm sure there's a railroad that connects those two, because it's third largest. Definitely more modern economy, right? So like one of the things that we talk about the benefit of increased trade is like your economy becomes quicker, it becomes better, right? Trade more things. You have more access to things. You can create. It's like it's. I don't want to keep going in that. You get me started on the economy and finance, and I won't stop. I won't stop. I'll just keep going. I'll keep going all day, every day. Educate. Talking about education again, how important it is, and one of the pros is, again, the more educated you become, the more doors you can open. I mean, I'm giving you a key. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm giving you a key. Key being how to question, the key being how to compare and contrast, the key being that why, and finding that why. I'm giving you that key. You have the ability now to unlock all those doors. You're going to unlock all those doors now that you have the key, and you can go through any which one you want. And that's the power of education. Okay. And tech, obviously, they got road networks now. They got a railroad network. They got telephone, the telegraph, then the telephone. They got to be bridges now. You know, big old rivers like the Ganges. They like looking from one side to the other. Now they can just walk across that. Man, that's a big benefit. It's a big plus. So the Sepoy Mutiny. I'm gonna go back to. Oh my gosh, so many slides. Okay, here we go. So you can see where it took place. So north of India, Delhi, Bombay to. I say Bombay to Delhi. I'm see, told you there's gonna be one. So anyway, so now you see where it's at. Sorry. So obviously economic tensions. One of the reasons is there's a monopoly. You have to trade with British. goods and services and people, right? So like you're gonna have economic problems because people are going out of business. Much like today, people are going out of business. But anyway, that's not here nor there. Um, so 85 refused to accept cartridges. Let me get to the right slide. Um, as a result, they were. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so they were jailed as a result. Oh goodness gracious! I'm having all sorts of issues right now with my technology, and I apologize for that. I do what I can, but I ain't perfect. So they refused to accept them. They were jailed. They ended up rebelling. They marched on Delhi, captured the city. So they'd be fighting back again, just like Africa, right? Everyone would be fighting back. Um, and because they revealed they fought the city, like there's a mutiny. It's a mutiny, and what is that? Well, this is important to understand. So like we talk about Curse of the Black Pearl, right? When we talk about Curse of the Black Pearl, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Disney film. Everything goes back to Disney with me. But Curse of the Black Pearl, there was a mutiny, right? Captain Jack Sparrow had a mutiny led by Captain Barbossa. So an open rebellion against the proper authority, being Captain Jack Sparrow of the Black Pearl. And so these soldiers, very unjustified, left them on an island to die, right? Same thing. So they have an open rebellion against the authorities, what they proper authorities, being the British, and they use them against their officers, right? So versus a revolution. So there you go. Some definitions for you, but yeah, mutiny. So y'all know mutiny because you see Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, great movie, fantastic movie, one of the greatest movies ever. Love that movie, 10 out of 10. Would see it again, even though I watched it a few days ago. Okay, so after rebellion, there's a lot of text on this, so I'm gonna let you read it, but or maybe I'll just read it to you. They took control. British took control from the East Indian. So it was the company, right? The private industry that had land, that had all this. But Britain's like, yo, India too valuable. We gotta come. We gotta take control. We gotta add more authority, right? They gotta add more of that authoritative state. Um, and Parliament placed it directly under the British Crown. So this is big. This is big, right? Because Parliament at this point is the power in Britain, in the British Empire. Like they control it. They're kind of like our Congress. Okay. And the prime minister is our president. So this is pretty big. They sent troops there. They start taxing Indians to pay for the troops that they sent to India. Like this is just like America, right? Very similar. Not exactly the same, but very similar. In terms of like, hey, we're gonna send troops there and you have to pay for them. Ha, so you suckers. And they're like, no, no, we don't like that. And obviously they're gonna be angered. Like if someone comes to you, it would be like if someone from Jersey came to Washington and took literally everything from Washington, all like the taxes collected in Washington and all the goods and services, and then they used it in New Jersey. Upset Washington would be. We'd be like, yo, no, give us our stuff back. Well, of course, like, and this is like way worse. Like, it's everything is being exported to Britain from India. Okay, so the Raj system, the system of colonial rule. Okay, that biggest thing you gotta know. Viceroys basically think of it as like a governor in a way. Like Britain owns so many of these, and they're like the governor of the entire thing. So like our governor is in control of Washington. The viceroy is like very similar, in control, but still answers to a higher authority. Um, if you're in the system, of course, British are gonna hold the highest position of power. That is one of the best ways to keep power in your hands is don't let anyone else have it. You let British people have the power, they're gonna continue to have the power. Okay. So like uh Indians were allowed to have positions, but they were not allowed to get past a certain point, right? they're able to maybe have like local positions, but not state or federal positions that to make it like an equivalent to the U.S. Right? They could be mayor maybe of Redmond, but they can't be governor of Washington. It'd be like that, and that's again a power, and it's all because they see India as a huge, a huge opportunity that they cannot lose. Right? Economically, it's big for them. Okay, so again, we're gonna probably touch on a lot of these again, but uh, benefits. They have a revised legal system that definitely pushes justice and equality regardless of your caste. The caste system being like the I don't want to like get too much into it, but there's like a prior to British being there, there's like a system, a caste system, and I believe it's based off of the religion. I could be 100% wrong here, so if I am wrong, please let me know because I'm doing this really from memory at this point because I don't 100% remember. So please correct me if I'm wrong. It's a caste system I believe is based off of Hinduism, and depending on where you're at in the caste is your social rank as well. So basically, you have like everything from like if you are, I don't think it's a certain like a religious like if you are a certain religious level, you're like the highest, and it goes all the way down to the untouchables, which is like the absolute bottom of the very very bottom. Okay, so that's what the caste system is, and basically this legal system said we don't care where you're at. If you do something illegal, you're going to get punished for it regardless of where you're at in this system, which is very different from what it used to be. And that's like a toxic. That's basically equality, right? Don't care where you're at. Don't care how much money you have. Don't care how much power you have. If you go and murk someone, y'all gonna be punished for murking someone. Okay. So railway, telegraph lines. That's communication 101. Communication is super important. You increase lines of communication. You increase the rate of communication. You're gonna benefit a lot of things. And then obviously, if you're in the upper class already, you're going to benefit more from it because the education system that Britain brings over and instills allows landowners to continue to grow from trade and have more education. And the people that benefit most from that are your upper class that can afford it. Okay, so there's definitely mixed attitudes. But most British felt that they were helping. They're like, we're modernizing India. We are. Sorry, my hair is wicked long. I haven't got a cut. I know what one of y'all will empathize with me about not having a cut in a long time. It's driving me nuts. But I'm so sorry. I get distracted, just like in class, and there's no one here to distract me. Okay. Anyway, British, they were there. This is the top one. This is like they're like, yeah. Most felt like, yeah, we're helping modernize India. What we're doing is good. It's just. Yeah, with my head. And then on the other side of the coin, like Indians are kind of mixed, right? Upper class and educated, we're like, yeah, let's adopt it. Um, we're benefiting more from it. This is good. Like, why not? Hindu and Muslim religious leaders, they're gonna oppose it, right? It's basically that idea of like being conservative with your values and trying to hold on to like things that are tradition and whatnot versus your more liberal like ideas of pushing technology, pushing society, regardless of maybe what has been done. Okay, so again, it's very back and forth. It's mixed. It doesn't. It's not like all for, all against. It's not. We're not the Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all, right? Where it's a mixed bag. It's grayscale, not like the band, though the band is great. Grayscale, great band, but it is grayscale. So I am so bad with pronunciation. So I'm Ram Mohan Roy. I'm so sorry I butchered that. I butcher everything. I can do German for the most part, but I can't really do anything else. Like I'm even trying to learn Welsh, and I still butcher it, and it's so bad. I feel so bad. But I try. That's the key. Key's always trying and trying to learn, trying to improve. Um, so dude's trying to combine new and old ways, like trying to basically knit together the two opposing views, trying to basically get them to do this thing. Like, hey, like we can take this, and we can take this, and we can mold it. It's great, right? So we found a college, English style of education, which a lot like was what we do. Like we have a very English style of education, and then but also saw the need to reform practices, right? Child marriages, the caste system. Um, he saw the benefits of European ideas, European reforms, the technology. Saw all those as benefits, but he also was like, we love, like, I love our culture. I love Indian culture, and it needs to be preserved. Um, Again, this is very similar to give you a parallel with Native American. Native Americans want to preserve their culture. They love their culture. It is a rich and complex and deep culture that, if you ever get the opportunity to study any any of it, I would recommend it. Um, so they want that, but they also technology also plays a role, and they like the technology as well. So it's like, how do you blend those two? And it's very tough. It's very tough to come up with something that everyone's going to agree with. It's almost, I would say it's not impossible, but a very improbable. Impossible being 0% chance of happening, and probable being almost nil, but still slight. Okay. So obviously, just as most British, not all. So um, British attitudes are going to be divided. So um, as you have these classic Indian literature being translated and Englishmen are reading it, they're getting a new insight, a new understanding of, and a new respect for Indians' ideas and their religious identity, and all these literature, and everything that comes with that. And that's the power, again, power of education is the more you read, and the more you branch out and do something that you're not comfortable with or you're not familiar with, the more you will learn, and the more broad your opinions can be. Uh, Again, that's just my plug. Like, I think it's important to read anything that you can to help yourself be the most well-rounded and most amazing person you can possibly be. But so there's that. So like, wow, we get a new respect, and we're on the other side. Um, English leaders, historians don't really have a lot of respect for those other cultural traditions. They love theirs, not others. Um, yeah, and I would probably say there was more leaning to this side than this side. Okay. Um, so let me make sure I have it. Okay. So if you were like a protege, right, or a prodigy, um, you could get British leaders were providing those individuals with a British education, with the caveat, or the little like, "No, you can't, but you have to do this," the little but there, right? But you have to accept culture and rule. Well, that's fine. Or is it, right? Is that okay to say that? But obviously Britain wants to, again, stay in charge. So that's key for Britain. Stay in charge. Stay in control. It is the jewel of their crown, right? So that's what they're going to do. Instead, many Indians return home and begin nationalistic movements, right? They're becoming educated. They're super educated, and they're rejecting that. They're saying, no, we're going to try to rule ourselves because we want what is right by us. And then, so Muslims fear that Indians might dominate any government. Uh, so this bottom part here is why we have like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, and why India is. I mean, it's not 100% of the reason, but it is a reason. because historically Muslims and Hindus don't get along 100%. Pakistan's vast majority Muslim, India's vast majority Hindu, and Bangladesh, I believe, is vast majority Hindu or Muslim. But anyway, that's another topic for another day in another class. But if you are interested, it's very if you are interested in that, I recommend like maybe reading like why. Oh wow, that's it. Wow, I unbelievable. I have more slides there. Anyway, that's all. That's all I have for the British in India. Um, I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's very interesting as a whole because of the length of it, as well as the outcomes in that specific in that area of the world. When it comes to again the countries now, the systems, super interesting. So if you do have any questions, please let me know. This will be I believe this is gonna run longer than 25 minutes. So this will be over the course of 2 days. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I've probably said that 8 times, but I really do. I care about y'all, and I want y'all to make sure that you send your questions to me so I can help you. My goal is to help you. My goal is to continue to continue your learning and your questioning and your skills. I really want you to get those skills. And if you were in my class, I'd be able to help you more than I can now. But I'm going to do everything I can. So anyway, with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Reach out to me. And with that, Hakes is out.